Well, hello there. Happy Friday. What is it? TGIF to TJRS. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Joy Reid Show. I forgot what day it is because we've literally been doing lives all week, every single night, because it's been election week. And so I'm like completely thrown off. And big up to everybody that's been riding with us and rolling with us all these 5 days. This is what it'd be like to have us on 5 nights a week. Ain't that great? I think it would be very cool. Big up to everybody that's in the chats. We appreciate it. Oh, that's very kind. Brenda Miller saying this channel and all that you offer is a public service, and I will be lost without your voice. You killed it on election night. Thank you very much. And there were election nights, and we had a really good time on both. And yeah, the whole team is like super tired and exhausted. But it's worth it because we want to bring you guys the news, the information, straight, no chaser, no filter, no corporate filter. And that is why we do this. So we do it for you guys. So big up to everybody there on YouTube, looking at the Twitchies, looking at the folks on The Stack. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And we are less than 8,000 subscribers away from 500,000 subscribers. Jason, I think we can get an applause for that. Should we get an applause? No? Okay, no applause. Okay, well, I'll clap for myself. Yeah, we are less than 8,000. Oh, there you go. Thank you. We're less than 8,000 away. So you can help us get there. Hit that share button. Send the link to like 5-10 friends on YouTube. Also on Substack, we are, we still want to grow our Substack. So if you want to be a part of the newsletter family, you can also watch it over there too, because we also do stream this show live to the Stack. So it's a really great way to get the text information. We also have a great psychologist that writes a regular column. And we also have other contributors that will write additional stuff in addition to myself. So the Stack is actually a really fun place to be as well. So subscribe there too. You can do that for free at joyanreid.com. You want to plus up and become a paid subscriber to help support the business. We appreciate that too. Let me let you know that on Monday, we're going to be previewing the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, where we will be with a really great interview with the president of NABJ, Aaron Haynes, who you may have seen on The Circus on Showtime, as well as our good friend Teray, who, by the way, has all the tea on that Cheyenne Bryant absolute madness. In the second half, hour 2 of this show, we're going to get an update on the Nolan Wells case and the case that his mom is making to the helpers and to the haters. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Before we go any further, let's acknowledge our sponsors. The Joy Reid Show is brought to you by our friends at ZBiotics.
Celebrations don't start with the clinking of glasses. They start with ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol, a probiotic you take before your first drink so you can enjoy the night and wake up ready. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol, the science behind your next great morning.
Yes, this is it, the tiny little bottle. And literally, we travel with them. I make sure that we have a subscription. We make sure that we get it every single time I take a drink. If I know I'm going to have to de-stress with like a lovely security, or Jason wants to have his favorite drink, which we call the conductor, whatever we're going to have, the best thing you can do for your self-care is to make sure that your self-care by just having a little sip, a little tipple on the ripple does not impact your next morning, that you can still be fresh, ready to go. It's summertime. Everybody's going to be hanging out. Folks on the vineyard, you're on the porch, you're doing your thing. You want to make sure that you feel great the next morning as well. Now, ZBiotics is a prebiotic drink. It's the world's first genetically engineered prebiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. So the way it works is you drink, alcohol gets converted into this toxic byproduct in your gut, and that buildup of that byproduct, not dehydration, like your grandma told you, is what causes rough days after drinking. Prebiotic produces an enzyme, pre-alcohol, I should say, produces an enzyme to block and break this byproduct down. So if you just remember, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, you drink responsibly, and boom, you feel great the next day. And we don't play about making sure that we can have our security without having any impact the next day. Because as you can see, we work 24/7 every day, every week. We work very hard. So if you'd like to give it a try, it's wedding season, it's bachelorette season, it's rooftop birthday season, it's, party season, NABJ season, and vineyard season, all the things. Make sure that August doesn't slow down and slow you down. Pre-alcohol keeps it that way. Zbiotics.com/joy is the way that you can get the 15% off discount. So use our discount. Go to zbiotics.com/joy and use the code joy at checkout for 15% off. So let me let you guys listen to AOC, who was one of the many progressives who went to bat for state representative, our friend Justin J. Pearson in the great state of Tennessee.
Oftentimes, people try to accuse folks of us of being something like too woke. It's because they don't like when we wake up. Because when people wake up, Memphis, we stand together. When people wake up, they stand for their wages. When people wake up, they kick out the corporations giving us cancer. When people wake up, we demand that billionaires pay their fair share. When we wake up, our schools get better. When we wake up, we fight for guaranteed health care for every American. When we wake up, we realize all that money we're spending on bombs abroad could be spent on schools right here at home. So yeah, they're calling us too woke because we're realizing that the math isn't adding up here in America. And it is long past time that we help our brothers and sisters wake up too.
Well, who's mad though? I mean, like, who's mad out there about the wokeness? I mean, we do know the right is mad, but it's weird because it's not just the right. It's also people who claim to be on the left who are mad that progressives are winning. Q Van Jones.
Phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that this stuff is going too far. I am a progressive Democrat. You want to talk about prison reform? I've done it as well as anybody, Republican Democrats in the South with Trump. I've done prison reform. I never said have no prisons. Where are you going to put the Klan? I've done police reform. I never said no police. Where are you going to put the pedophiles? Who's going to grab the pedophiles? This stuff is going too far. And part of the thing that has to happen is we saw what happened in the Republican Party when things started going in a nutty direction and nobody stood up. I am happy that the young people are fighting for affordability, Medicare for all the good things. I've been waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's doing. But it's being hijacked by people who are putting in nutty ideas supporting terrorists, nutty ideas saying that we don't need cops in prison. We can't deport anybody even if they rape somebody. Who said this? Chevalier. Where did Chevalier?
Chevalier is going to be is yes. The Democratic nominee. DSA nominee for Congress now from the Bronx.
Yes.
Chevalier is the Democratic nominee for Congress in the Bronx. She's a Democrat. She is also a member of DSA. You know, in New York, you can be part of two parties and get nominated by two parties. And, you know, so Van Jones claims that all the Democrats are blowing up his phone, excited that he did this rant where he called progressives who are pro-Palestine the turds in the punch bowl. He called them SHIT, literally compared them to excrement because they think that Palestinians, shouldn't die because they're saying Palestinians shouldn't be killed en masse by his favorite country. They're the turds in the punch bowl. So he's mad. And he claims that secretly lots of Democrats are blowing up his phone saying, oh my God, thank God somebody had the courage to say that people who think Palestinians shouldn't die are SHIT. So there you go. Who else is mad? The right, Mike Johnson, cue him. He did an angry tweet where he was pretty, exorcised about the fact that Mamdani's candidates won in New York and that DSA members are winning all over the country, including Malat Quiros in Colorado, including the mayor of Washington, D.C., and on and on. He says, there's an urgent question facing America, says Mike Johnson. Are we going to maintain our status as the world's great superpower and beacon of liberty, opportunity, and security, or allow radical Marxist Democrats to destroy the very foundation that makes us the enemy of the entire world? Democrats now openly express disdain for America and embrace the failed, dangerous, deadly path of communism. We must take a stand and fight, all caps, to protect the greatest nation of the history of the world from being overrun by mini Mamdanis. If there were like mini Mamdanis, that means like everywhere you turn, there would be cheap groceries, discounted cheap rent, and free preschool. I think we'd love to have the mini Mamdanis. Give us the mini Mamdanis. And I can tell you just from the insider world will tell you that this is their new strategy. Just call every Democrat they don't like a communist. And by the way, did you hear Van Jones say that he's a progressive who did police reform and then he added with Donald Trump? I think by definition, if you're doing police reform with Donald Trump, you're not a progressive. Donald Trump's version of policing are masked goons that are probably insurrectionists from the January 6th insurrection, kidnapping brown and black people off the street and dragging them into secret bands and then sending them off to concentration camps. So you can't really do prison reform with somebody like that. But that's one of the people who are upset. Well, Zoran Mamdani had a response to the House Speaker. Let's roll it.
Just like to congratulate Dr. Abdul El-Sayed on his victory. He ran a campaign where it was best described by his words of money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. And if those simple commitments and beliefs are what drives Representative Johnson to these kinds of conclusions, I think it shows you how deeply out of touch the Republican Party is with the concerns of working class Americans. Because what we have seen is, despite him facing more than $60 million in outside spending, he was able to prevail with a focus on a cost of living crisis and the way in which healthcare is exceedingly out of reach for those who have helped to make this country what it is.
I think he's really rather tall, but I think that the right views the now Democratic Senate candidate from Michigan, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. I think they see him as a mini Mamdani. And maybe, coincidentally, because he's Muslim like Mamdani, I don't know. He's brown like Mamdani, I don't know. But there is a real genuine fear that Abdul El-Sayed means that the Mamdani phenomenon is national, that it is not just a New York phenomenon, and that Mamdani and his 3 congressional candidates, one of whom is Jewish, by the way, so the people who are supposedly pro-terrorist per Van Jones include Jewish people who also think Palestinians shouldn't die en masse, but we'll leave that there for now. But yeah, Abdul El-Sayed is like their greatest nightmare. So the fact that this is now happening in the Midwest, as well as in Colorado, as well as in New York City, is starting to set Republicans' hair on fire, particularly since they're facing an economy that lost jobs in July. The job growth, and now Donald Trump is in charge of the Bureau of Labor Statistics now. They could just lie for him now. They could make up the numbers. So their best effort to fudge the numbers was a loss in jobs in July. The economy is in the toilet. Yes, Wall Street keeps going up, but you realize when you lay off a lot of people, the value of your company tends to go up. If you do mass layoffs, your stock will go up because you've reduced the cost of labor. So seeing a high stock market means absolutely nothing unless you're a large individual investor. If you have a 401k, your 401k will go up a little when the stock market goes up, but not a lot. But the stock market has nothing to do with the economy, right? The economy is, are there jobs? At this point, no. That number's going in the wrong direction. We're seeing the reverse of immigration. We're seeing mass, people leaving, mass exoduses of immigrants, particularly from industries that really need immigrants. They're heading out of here, and more people are leaving than are coming in. So all the signs are bad, and progressives are the ones who are offering real change and offering real solutions. And so they're winning in these elections all over the country, and probably soon, you're going to see progressive candidates win in places no one expected, maybe even statewide, because people are desperate. They're desperate to see a change in their economic condition. They're desperate to see an end to this torture of brown people. No one likes seeing people get shot in the face because they're trying to defend their neighbors, and some masked men shooting, people of all races, including white people, in the face and killing people because they want to, basically do ethnic cleansing in the country. It's crazy. And people, they're sick of sending money to Israel. That's just real. And it's gotten so bad that even Fox has reached the stage, they went through the stages of denial. Donald Trump really is great. He's really successful. That's real. To depression and sadness. They've now, I think, reached anger. They've gone through rage. You've seen that on The Five, their favorite show, their top show. But now I think they've reached the stage of grim resignation, particularly on Abdul El-Sayed. And here it is. This is Jesse Waters' grim resignation.
Respect Abdul because he beat the machine. Big Gretch, Pelosi, Schumer, he slaughtered them. 30 mil, couldn't do it. And so say what you want about him. This guy is a force that Mike Rogers is going to have to deal with.
I don't know if I like the term slaughtered, and I kind of feel like it was a pejorative when he says it because he's such a weird racist dude. But the reality is that resignation is real. And he mentioned a fact, right? He actually weirdly said a fact on Fox, which is that they didn't try to minimize this victory by Dr. Abdul El-Sayed on Fox. They really are not. You would expect them to minimize it and say he barely won. This is what we were all expecting when we stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch Abdul El-Sayed win that race. But instead, what you're seeing on Fox is a retreat from Trump. They're starting to break the glass a little bit, and they're starting to allow their audience every so often to hear a little bit of the truth about their favorite president, because the Republican Party is receding and shrinking, and Trumpism is reaching the conclusion that him downstairs, Lindsey Graham, predicted in a tweet in 2016. If we endorse Donald Trump, we will lose, we will be destroyed. We will be destroyed, and we will deserve it. Little by little, the Republican Party is being destroyed. I think I would argue it has been destroyed. It doesn't really exist anymore. It's just a Trump personality cult, and the base of the party has discovered that what Donald Trump's purpose was to make himself really, really, really rich, and they're not getting anything. Let me play you all the latest ad by, and also Permanent Wars, which also make his kids rich because they're invested in the drone companies. I want you all to listen to Abdul El Sayed's ad against his coming opponent, Mike Rogers.
For you.
It's a pretty damn good ad. And that brings us back to the great state of Tennessee. We're in Memphis. One of the fascinating things about Justin Pearson's win is the turnout among Democrats matched the turnout among Republicans in what was supposed to be an R+9 district drawn to thwart the Voting Rights Act. Let's play some of Representative Pearson's victory speech.
Around this time, 61 years ago, August 6th, 1965, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Ralph Abernathy, SNCC activist John Lewis, activists who would later become a U.S. congressman, and Rosa Parks stood behind President Lyndon Baines Johnson as he signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Today, 61 years ago, that happened. And here we are 61 years later, and that same Voting Rights Act has been surgically undermined by the Supreme Court of the United States, the Tennessee legislature, the governor, and the current president of the United States by separating Memphis and Shelby County, the state's only majority black congressional district at that time, into thirds. The political dilution and deprivation of our rights is happening in our lifetime. It's a blatant attempt to keep people like us out of power, and an attempt to make us quit. But tonight, we one step closer to Washington, D.C. Tonight, we one step closer to serving in the U.S. House of Representatives. Tonight, we on our way. And we recognize the truth. The Voting Rights Act didn't become a reality because of some folks' goodwill. Medgar Evers was gunned down in his driveway in front of his wife and children. U.S. Army veteran Mr. Maceo Sniper was fatally shot and killed on his mama's porch by an unmasked white lynch mob for voting in Georgia's primary despite threats from the Klan in Taylor County. American Unitarian Universalist minister and civil rights activist Reverend James Reid, who was white, was shot and killed. Viola Louisa, a mother of 5, left Detroit to get down to Selma to march to make sure voting rights would be a reality for people. And as she drove to take one of the young women home, she got shot in the face by Klansmen on the highway, shot and killed, orphaning her 5 children. That's the blood of patriots. And it was the blood of patriots on the Edmund Pettus Bridge who refused to be turned around of white supremacy, who refuse to be turned around in the face of injustice, who refuse to be turned around despite the billy clubs, despite the horses, despite the canines, despite the beatings. And it's that blood that had inked the Voting Rights Act into being. Just as they refuse to be turned around by systems of injustice, hate, and violence, Tennessee District 9, we've got to refuse to be turned around. We've got to march with all that we've got. We've got to fight with all that we've got. We've got to keep going forward. Because our election is about a vision for 61 years from today. On August 6th, 2087, I'll be 93 by then. It will be 122 years since the Voting Rights Act was passed. And we must ask the question, what kind of America will we have built? Will we have built a nation that lives into Matthew 25? For I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you visited me. Will we have built a nation that is rooted in love and in its ideals of a more perfect union?
And joining me now is the band that you just saw, the winner of Tennessee's Democratic primary for the newly redrawn 9th Congressional District, State Representative Justin J. Pearson. Well, first of all, congratulations on your big win. And thank you for not keeping us up till 2 a.m. like Abdul did.
I know that's right. Thank you. All glory to God.
All, everything about that speech was amazing. We listened to some of it live when it was happening. And this show is so proud of you. You know, we are biased and 100% towards you, my brother. Everyone here was rooting for you. It was no question that you needed to be the nominee. But just tell us how it feels to go from state representative to congressional candidate.
Yeah, no, it feels absolutely amazing. I'm so humbled, so honored to have the privilege of being the Democratic nominee for the United States House of Representatives. I mean, these are days that my parents, my grandmamas, God rest their souls, prayed for. And I'm just humbled, truly, to be able to be of service, to fight for our communities that are struggling in this moment in time for a vision of our country that's not yet, but that we know is still possible. That's what we need right now, more than anything.
Please tell your wife that she is everybody. I think her excitement she was absolutely adorable. I feel like all Black Americans, and first of all the aunties were doing the same thing. We were jumping like she was jumping. Everybody was jumping with her. She was my favorite part of the video, second only to you. But let's talk about this race, because this seat was supposed to disappear. It is really, I think, only God, right, and His mysterious wisdom that this race took place on the 60th anniversary, the Jubilee anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act, which has been destroyed by this current Supreme Court majority. And yet what the devil meant for evil, God means for good. I know your father is a preacher, but you winning this primary on that particular anniversary in a seat that's supposed to be gone, it could instead mean that the 9th Congressional District will now be represented by an African-American congressman for the first time, right? Because it was represented before by Steve Cohen.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely right. We are part of a historic moment in America's history, in Tennessee's history, and in the 9th District's history. And I think we have an opportunity here, if we are to seize it, to show what investing in the South can actually do to lift up the voices of marginalized folks, to fight for our civil rights, for our voting rights, for our country, because that's really what we are in, a fight for what our country is supposed to be, instead of what we have inherited, which is a billionaire's plaything. And I think in this moment in time, we really can fight for increased wages, access to healthcare, stopping these toxic data centers. And that is resonating with people who are in more rural areas, in suburban areas, in urban areas. And it's true to us because we've been fighting Elon Musk. We've been fighting against the billionaire class for a long time. And that resonates for a lot of people in counties we haven't been or otherwise would not have been to had we not had the opportunity to run in the district as it was newly constructed after the Calais decision. But we got to make those phone calls. We got to raise that money. We got to show up because it isn't going to happen by wishing it happens. It's going to happen because we're going to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, AOC, when she came down to speak up for you and to stump for you, she talked about people being mad because we're too woke, and, meaning that people have have awakened to the reality of what's being done to them by the billionaire class. How do you get that message to these new constituents of yours, theoretically, right? Because they've added to the 9th district some very suburban, very white counties, some very rural counties, a big L-shaped district now. What has been the reaction to you among those people who would have, your message would be very new to them and very woke maybe to them?
Yeah, I mean, we are awakening to the reality that the multimillionaires and the multi-billionaires are the only ones who are benefiting in this country, and the rest of us are working class, a check or two away from not being able to pay our mortgage or being evicted or losing our car or losing the car insurance that we're paying, right? Most folks are dealing with that type of reality because of an endless war that we're in with Iran, because of corporate corruption that we are seeing. And when I'm traveling these 15 counties, people are resonating with our message that we want to increase the amount of wages that you get, decrease the amount of costs, expand access to healthcare, stop toxic data centers, and pass Medicare for all, because 16 rural hospitals have closed since 2005 in Tennessee. We have the highest medical debt of any state in the United States of America. We have the lowest investments in public education. People know that things can be better or should be better. They just have been told that the reason things aren't better is because of immigrants. The reason things aren't better is because of Black folks. It's because of women. And what we are doing is going to people and telling them the truth. The truth of the matter is the billionaire class and the corporations at the top are the only ones who have been benefiting, and they've been keeping us fighting each other, so we never look up and pay attention to them.
Justin J. Pearson, State Representative Justin J. Pearson, Congressional Candidate Justin J. Pearson. We are all rooting for you, brother. And please feel free to come back anytime. This is your home. The door is always open. You need a boost. You need to send a message. You need folk to, donate, contribute, whatever it is. Come on back here anytime and let us know how we can be a blessing to you, because you're such a blessing to the world and to the great state of Tennessee and the people of Memphis. Thank you and congratulations.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Let's keep the faith in the fight. I'll talk to you soon.
What's the website? Real quick, give it to us.
VoteJustinJ.com. VoteJustinJ.com.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Well, there it is, everybody. Justin J. Pearson. We weren't able to get him on because he was speaking and dealing with media and doing all the things last night, but we're really blessed that he is a friend of the show and could come back so we could congratulate him in person. I want to also note, please, that you guys got to support all our sponsors. We love all of our wonderful sponsors, and one of our favorites are our friends at Quince. I actually just packed because we're going to be doing some traveling, and I threw in my light blue, beautiful powder blue cashmere Quince top. And when I tell you it's so cute, breathable, beautiful, I cannot wait to throw it on. I'm going to debut it for the first time while we are on our travels. So we appreciate everything that Quince makes. And what I love about it is that they are great pieces for summer. They're great Mongolian cashmeres, which is the sweater that I have. Absolutely beautiful. There's beautiful organic cotton. Fabulous pieces as well. They've got stretch denim. And what I love about the products at Quince is that they are both beautiful, durable, washable, packable, but also affordable. Their pieces start at just $50 for their wonderful stretch denim pieces. They've got great structure, great weight. They feel luxury, and you give that luxury designer feel, but for a price that you can afford. And the way that they do that is that Quince works directly with ethical factories. They cut out those middlemen so that you are paying for the quality, not the crazy markup. So if you are ready to go fabulous, but also keep that budget super casual, Quince does it. They bring the same everyday elevation to everything they offer. And by the way, they offer more than just clothing. They also do bed and bath, fabulous kitchen staples, essentials. They've even got outerwear, jackets, like all the things. So if you're ready to upgrade your everyday, download the Quince app for exclusive offers, or go to quince.com/joyreid to get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That is QUINCE.com/joyreid. So obviously there's also an election coming up in Florida. Florida, always the state that has to mess everything up. But this year, you never know. They've got a great governor's race. David Jolly is running. And in the congressional races, there's a lot of Sturm und Drang, particularly in Florida's 20th congressional district, where Debbie Wasserman Schultz is carpet bagging her way on over because there's so many people running. It's a overly crowded congressional race, which means that gives her a chance, right? And this is the reverse of what's happening with Justin J. Pearson. In Representative Pearson's race in Memphis, this is an opportunity to flip to an African-American representative. In Florida's 20, it would be a flip the other way. This was an opportunity district drawn by the Voting Rights Act in order to give Black Floridians an opportunity to get representation. Instead, if Debbie Wasserman Schultz prevails, it will be represented by her. And her politics don't necessarily align with the 20th, but here we are. Well, one of the candidates in that race has also raised some other issues and has not named names, but let me play you this video that is circulating quite widely on social media.
Gentlemen, I hate to agree with Donald Trump. I got to agree with him. These career politicians, Democrats that I've always supported, in my congressional race, they are really cheating. One of the candidates, she has people knocking on seniors' doors, telling these seniors that they will take their ballot to the box. Opening up the ballot, changing the vote, and dropping it in the box. They call them ballot harvesters. I didn't even know this even existed. See, you know, I'm the career politician in this race. And I always said everything Trump says is a lie. He's making excuses. But he's right. These people do rig elections. They're literally going to seniors' house, and you can look at it on the data machine as to who voted and who didn't vote. So they're going to these seniors' houses, knowing that they do not have the resources to get in the car or the time to go and vote. So they're offering their assistance and going to these people's house. They got the money to pay for it. Guy with dreadlocks. When I get that footage, I'm going to post it. This is bad. This is absolutely bad. Absolutely bad. You got to win by cheating. Unbelievable. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a liar and you're a cheater.
And joining me now is legendary rapper, former leader of 2 Live Crew, and now congressional candidate for Florida's great 20th district, Luther Campbell, aka Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke, let me first ask you, can you verify that clip is real? That video is all over my socials, but is that an accurate video, an accurate representation of what's happening in Florida's 20th?
Good evening, Joy. Thank you for having me. Yes, it is. It is a accurate description of it. Actually, we got a picture of, the guy with the dreads. We have that picture, right now. We're just waiting for the footage from the ring camera of the one of the seniors whose house he went to. But from my understanding, that is a business. These ballot harvesters, what they do is they prey on seniors all year round. They go to senior citizens' homes and they take them out to shuffleboard, they take them out to the beach, they take them out bowling. And so when it's time for election time, then the seniors trust in them to, fill out the form the way they want it to be filled out. And then there's a lot of situations where there are seniors that are home and they'll go to their houses. See, the data machine that we have right now called Minivan shows exactly who received a mail-in ballot. And every day we get an update from the elections department as to who sent in their ballot with their name, with their address, with their age, and with their phone number, with everything. And so these people, they call it chasing ballots. And, there's a proper way of doing it by getting on the phone and calling somebody or just knocking on the door and talking to them like I've been doing. And then there's an illegal way of doing it by going to somebody's house, some senior, 84 years old, who's suffering because, their insurances went up. They're trying to pay for these prescription drugs, and they can't. The gas is up, and they just can't get to the poll to drop their ballot into the box. And so these people with a T-shirt similar to mine go to the door, not mine, but go to the door, and they think they're official, and they get those folks ballots, and then they'll look at it, and if it's written in pencil, they'll erase it and change it. If it's written in ink, then they'll put it in the garbage.
This is actually both shocking and also very Florida, unfortunately. Not surprising for this very crazy state. But you said in your social media clip, she, and there are only 2 female candidates running in Florida's 20th district. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz is one of the women running, and Representative Sheila Sherflewis McCormick. Which of those 2 is the she you're referring to?
Well, I was sitting in a cigar bar, and a friend of mine, William Joseph, who played football for the New York Giants, came to me when I came into the cigar bar. She said, "Sheila brother told me something." And I was like, "Really?" He left out of the cigar bar. He told me that there was a guy with dreadlocks going and picking up ballots. And so we did our little investigation of it, and we found that it was actually happening. Elijah Manley sent me a picture today of the guy with dreadlocks. Now, I didn't know when I did the video, it was a guy with dreadlocks. He's on the Ring camera, according to Sheila's brother, telling my friend in the cigar bar, and he telling me. I go and do an investigation of it, and lo and behold, there is a guy with dreadlocks on Debbie Wasserman Schultz's campaign. Now, do I have the footage of him actually going to the senior home on the Ring camera like they said they have it? I don't have it, and I hope that if Sheila has it, that she would provide it to the proper authorities and turn Debbie in if that's the case.
So what you're saying is that you've been alerted to this by 2 of the other candidates, Sheila Sherflewis McCormick, who is a sitting congresswoman who was actually expelled from Congress because she faces an ethics investigation for a corruption investigation, which is why I am not sure why she is running for Congress, to be honest. You just get expelled again, but that's just my personal opinion. Elijah Manley, who you mentioned, is also running. He is the progressive, very progressive candidate. I don't know if he's DSA exactly, but he's sort of on that DSA progressive spectrum. And then, of course, the other candidates are Dale Holness and yourself. So you're saying that you were alerted to this by Representative Sherflewis McCormick, and that your belief is that this nefarious campaign is being run at least on behalf of Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yes. It was. I mean, like I said, I was alerted by a friend of mine in the cigar bar that we all go to, and he said that the brother came to him and told him they have footage of a guy with dreadlocks, and that was it. When I did that post, I said she because I didn't want to, call her name at that time, but that's what was told to me. And we started doing a little investigation. And, like I say, Elijah sent me a picture of a guy with dreadlocks working on her team with the shirt on. Now, is it him that did it? I'm still waiting for the actual footage, from the Ring camera. But let me just say this. Just like you say, you've covered stories down here. You've worked down here, and there are mysterious things that happened back in the days. It used to be dead people voting, and people went to jail for that. And all types of things happening. This ballot harvesting thing, they even have a name for it, and so I understand that this is a norm for us. And I didn't know it. I wouldn't think you would do something like this in a Democratic primary with Democratic candidates, even doing it at any given time, and that's what normally happens when people have a bunch of money in their campaign. They're able to, pay everybody and anybody to try and get elected.
And it's disturbing, particularly because if it's this particular candidate, this is a candidate who is effectively carpetbagging into what was an historically Black seat. And by the way, we want to give Debbie Wasserman Schultz the opportunity to respond to this. We will reach out to Debbie Wasserman Schultz's campaign and give her the opportunity if she would like to respond. If y'all are friends with Debbie, tell her she can go ahead and get in touch with our producers. She can reach out to us at info@thejoyreidshow.com or newstips@thejoyreidshow.com. We'd be happy to put her on. But this is alarming. This race is coming up in a little over a week, and it sounds like there's funny stuff going on. But let's go back and focus on your campaign. Tell us what you're hearing at the doors. I know that you are also out there campaigning for yourself. What are people saying about the mood of the electorate in the 20th regarding who they think should be the nominee?
I mean, we're not, like I say, every day we're knocking on doors. We're going to people's houses. We're calling. We're running an old school campaign to really get the pulse of the people. And everything that we're hearing and the calls and the return calls that we're getting, the excitement is, folks are saying they're voting for me. It was a low turnout. It was a low absentee turnout. The numbers, didn't come in as high as most would think, but I'm the firm belief that the early voting, those numbers are going to come up. People who don't normally vote, who are upset, who are sick and tired of just being sick and tired, those are the people that I expect to go out and vote for me. And I'm just looking forward to this week, tomorrow. Tomorrow, it starts tomorrow. And like I say, I've not had any indication that folks are not excited by me, wanting to be the nominee.
All right. Well, Uncle Luke, we wish you the best of luck. Tell us your website so that people who want to support you can do so.
My website is www.luthercampbellforcongress.com. Come on there and check us out, support. You can volunteer. You can send some money. It's all beautiful. But we're going to win this thing, Joy, and we're all going to celebrate.
All right. That sounds good. And when it is all done, we hope you'll come back here and celebrate with us. Thank you, Uncle Luke. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And joining me now is award-winning host, lawyer, social justice activist, and principal CEO of Impact Strategies, the co-creator of State of the People and co-host of the wonderful Native Land Pod, my good sister, Angela Reid.
Hey there, hi, sis.
So, you want me to put headphones on? Oh, okay. Yeah. Can you grab a set of headphones? Because we're getting a reverb. We'll put you backstage real quick. Well, okay. Well, yeah, we're going to let Angela grab a pair of headphones because we do get that reverb if you don't have headphones on. But we got to talk about this. And again, let's just make sure that, and actually I'll send a note out to Nitha if you want to maybe reach out or have Ron reach out to the Debbie Wasserman Schultz campaign and see if she would like to come back on and discuss these allegations, because of course we want to give her an opportunity to respond. But everything about what's happening in Florida's 20th district is not good. It's suboptimal. And can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you.
Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about this because Luther Campbell has made a pretty serious allegation that started out on social media that representatives for, or at least somebody that is a fan of or supportive of one of the campaigns in the 20th district may be going to seniors' homes as a trusted person, collecting their ballots and then filling them out for the person for this candidate. He alleges it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We didn't prepare you for this topic at all, so you don't have to comment on it specifically. But in the broader picture of what's happening in Florida's 20th district, it feels so ugly to me. And I wonder how it looks to you as a political analyst and somebody who's worked for members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, to your point, Joy, that is a very serious allegation. In fact, it isn't a crime. And so we want to make sure that there is factual information, whether it's, some type of sworn statement from a senior who's alleging this. That really needs to happen for any of us. I'm not going to let you either talk about the allegations as anything other than an allegation. What I will say to you is, I don't like the way Debbie Wasserman Schultz entered this race. I think that when I consider, the Freedom to Vote Act and what they were trying to push with nonpartisan redistricting commissions and, we should just let everyone have their say and all of the things that we talk about theoretically without actually watching them play out. This is another example of that. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is carpetbagging. she's going into a district that's not really hers and saying, well, I've done enough for you blacks, so let me go ahead and do this too. I can do it better than any black representative could ever. And I don't agree with that. Yeah. I think that it was a lazy approach to a really sophisticated political problem and challenge in this era. And so I wish that she would be in integrity, period. I hope that she did not, or any representative did not, try to steal the election. We already got one white person trying to steal the election in the highest office of the land, Donald Trump. He's trying to federalize elections, not because people need civil rights protected after they've gutted the Voting Rights Act. He's trying to steal an election and federalize them so that he could do that even easier. So we don't need any help on the Democratic side of the aisle in doing that. Like, everybody breathe easy, everybody relax, let's do the right thing. Spike Lee, yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Indeed. And the House of Representatives, is the one that, historically ought to flip, only because, you have the same party in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. So historically, it should flip the Democrats' way. But as you said, Republicans are doing the most to try to stop that from happening, whether it is this horrendous gerrymandering, the Calais decision opening the door to trying to steal black seats effectively, and then one Democrat doing it too in Florida 20. But I want you to comment on some of the things that Republicans are willing to allow in order to try to hold on to their majority. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who has already said if they lose the midterms, Donald Trump's presidency is over. I agree with him on that, and I'm fine with it. He also is refusing to walk away from a member of his caucus who has been credibly accused of breaking his own son's collarbone and throwing boiling hot water on his wife. That would be Max Miller, who is the son of former son-in-law of Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno. They are divorced now. And let me just play this real quick. He's asked by Politico, are you sure you want to stand by this guy? This is C2, Jason.
Days. I've been traveling nonstop and having an opportunity to do that. I think what Max is suggesting there is that I've been intellectually consistent, always have, since before I became Speaker, and certainly over the last almost 3 years. This applies equally to Republicans and Democrats. We don't take disciplinary action against members for allegations. He is vehemently denying this. It's, in his own words, a nasty divorce proceeding, and it's gotten ugly and it's gotten public. But he's saying the same things privately to members that he is publicly, that he denies all this and he thinks it's a hit job on him.
Will you tell him to drop out?
No, I will tell Max what I tell everyone. These are serious allegations. I'm the father of 2 daughters who work in Capitol Hill. I mean, the allegations are serious. I think Max is taking them seriously. I think our colleagues are. But again, we have to allow this process to play out. It's just begun.
I mean, the president called him. Max Miller said this, that the president called him and told him, things aren't looking good for you.
Well, I mean, they don't look good right now, of course. But again, like, what should a speaker do in this case? I mean, I call out alarming behavior. I try to work every day on decorum and on the ethics of the House. We have a very active and engaged ethics committee. They've done more work than they need to. I wish it wasn't necessary, but there's been a lot in this Congress on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see him invoke your name because he has also not been the most generous toward you. He said that he wouldn't support you for re-election as Speaker or Minority Leader. He also said that you're dividing Republicans with a smile.
Look, I think you could ask every other Republican, they would tell you that's not true. And look, Max has had a lot of issues in his life. I don't return fire. That doesn't bother me. And there's a lot of criticism that comes with the job. I'm not going to use this situation to say something negative about him. He's got to work out the things in his family life, and that's an issue for the voters of Ohio's 7th District. It's an issue for the Miller family to work out.
Okay. Yeah. The humiliation factor is pretty extreme. He's willing to support this guy. He needs his body in Congress. And I'll just note before I let you back in to comment on this, Sheila Sherf-Lewis McCormick, who is one of the people running in Florida 20, she resigned before going before an ethics committee that was preparing to expel her. She has not been convicted of a crime. However, she has allegations of having stolen disaster relief money. She was indicted. She's actually been indicted. I don't believe she's yet been convicted, but your thoughts on the support for Mr. Miller, Congressman?
Well, it's typical. And what else would you expect from a party that has elevated Donald Trump to be their president? I think that the harshest we've seen them move is with George Santos, maybe. And I don't know why they treated him as an outsider. Maybe they thought he was never really one of them. I'm not sure. But you know what was more damning in that clip to me than Mike and his word salad was, did he say both of his daughters work on Capitol Hill too? Talk about nepotism.
Yeah.
I feel like that. So I think we're dealing with people who, are Nepo babies, breeding more Nepo babies, expecting them to do the right thing by the general public. And they don't know how to do that because they've always been Nepo babies. And so I don't know what we expect from them. They turn a blind eye to justice because they got there because of the silver, gold, or platinum spoon in their mouths. Never really had to work a hard day in their lives. They love to say, us black folks, Joy, like a handout, but they always had a handout, a hand up, a hand around the waist to keep them safe. They got more life support than we've ever seen, So I think that those are really the things that we need to be wrestling with. There are a number of issues here. I remember in 2006 when the Democrats took over the House and the Senate. And the language is around draining the swamp. This used to be Democratic language, right? There's draining the swamp. It was right after Jack Abramoff. They wanted to clean up all of the ethics issues. Child, when I tell you it was a hop, skip, and a jump, and we right back in all the ethics mess because they don't have a bone of integrity in their bodies. And I don't think that we should lie or try to present as if there are no challenges on the Democratic side. There certainly have been. We understand there were allegations against Eric Swalwell, a former member of Congress who dropped out of the gubernatorial race in California. All of that. Like, it happens, it comes up, you deal with it. Their problem is they don't deal with it. They embrace it. Also, what's going on with Byron? Are the allegations true? Have we heard anything about Byron?
I do not know. I have no right. I'm going to treat it just like the Debbie Wasserman Show thing. Byron is welcome to come on and answer to whatever allegations are out there. You can just reach out also at info@thejoyreidshow.com. Come on, feel free to come on. Let's talk about a more positive story, Tennessee, because it's interesting to me that it does feel like Florida 20 and Tennessee 9 are like the reverse of each other, right? You have a white congressman attempting to take over a seat that was drawn through the Voting Rights Act to be a Black Opportunity District. But the Black Opportunity District in Tennessee for, 10 terms has been represented by a white liberal congressman named Steve Cohen. And this is the opportunity actually for the CBC to pick up a seat, ironically enough, with Justin J. Pearson. Let's put up Jason, if you could put up C3. What I found interesting about this district was drawn to be a guaranteed Republican seat. That was their goal. It's R+9, which is really not a guarantee, but it's better for Republicans and Democrats. But if you look at the turnout, this is with 99.5% reporting on Representative Pearson's side. They're matched. So there was as much interest in electing the Democratic nominee than the Republican nominee. And, these primaries are usually pretty low turnout, but I found that interesting and good news for Democrats. What do you think?
Well, and if we can leave this up a little bit longer, the only thing I would say to you, Joy, out of the machetes, my math doesn't always math. But if you look at the second place and the third place Republican, their numbers are significantly higher than the second and third on the Democratic side. So you add those up in total, that is that if the election were held yesterday for the general, it probably would be that Brent Taylor would have won. What I think is important here, though, is there are a lot of people that didn't believe that Justin Pearson could win even the primary. And I'm talking about folks nationally, people, in Memphis who think that he's too young, too green, too radical, all of these twos. And now that he has won, maybe and hopefully he will encourage other young people who didn't think he had a chance to turn out. Memphis, I always say this, Joy, but when you go into the city, there feels like there's a spirit of heaviness there. And I don't know if it's residual from Dr. King being assassinated there, but it really does exist. The disenfranchisement, the ways in which many people are treated as invisible, the divide between the rich and the poor is substantial. And so we need to figure out some way for people to feel empowered, even when they don't have their basic needs met. Right. And so I'm hoping that Justin could give them that wave of energy. They've had some victories around just exposure to what data centers are doing to the community, even with his brother Keyshawn. So I do hope that the turnout there will only continue to increase. But If that race were held yesterday, he might have had a little trouble because that second and third place candidate on the Republican side had significantly more votes.
Well, second place was about even, but that third place was probably, I would say if you did it was about maybe like an 8,000 per advantage. We go back through it, it's 11,000 and change.
Is that 17 and 11?
Yeah, no, I think it's 11 and 11, or is it 17? Or maybe my eyes
I
don't
think
work.
it's 17.
I thought it was an 11. Girl, my eyes don't work.
No, I know I did too, but I got these big glasses on.
I got them
that's
on.
a 17.
You're right, it's a 17. I thought it was an 11. Never mind. It's 17. So you're right. It would have been a victory.
I'm gonna tell the girls it was your math that was bad this time.
My math was bad. No, it was my bad. I was like, oh, the third one was close. But the reality is, for me, it is an R+9 district, meaning it's supposed to be a guarantee. But if you add all that up, it's what, a 10,000 vote or whatever difference. That could be made up with the right money, the right message, the right campaign. So this is not a race.
But you said it right. The right money. It's an investment district. They have to stop trying to bet on these random, let me get this Democrat that if you blink hard enough, she could technically be a Republican. Let's not do that. Let's actually find someone that motivates the groups of voters who are the most reliable in the party. Try it. Like, actually invest in our folks. Listen to folks like Cliff and Latasha and April with Black Voters Matter. Listen to the Equity Alliance folks. If you listen to Tequila Johnson, who, remember we played her clip on the show last week on Native Land Pod, Tequila said every race where they played in the Equity Alliance, they won. So listen to the folks who are organizing on the ground and follow them on where they're saying the investment must go. The problem that the Democratic Party has right now, one, in addition to being broke, is they haven't listened to the people who stay closest to the ground. You got to do that. It's not on getting the most expensive poster, on running the most expensive ads, on getting the biggest ad. That's not it. That's not the pathway. The pathway is having these conversations person to person, grandma to auntie, pastor to church member. Like, you got to have these conversations in a different way. Something that's fundamental to how we are. But imagine if they invested in that, Joy.
Right, exactly.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
And then this is one where they have to do it, because this, in order to gain back the House, they have to hold everything they have and then add, right? It's not just a math problem. Again, another math problem. And I ain't the best at math, obviously. But in this case, this is actually a winnable race. R+9 is not R+20. And so it feels like a place, AOC was there campaigning for Justin. It's clear that Bernie and that, the progressive left will be there for him. But will the party, will the DCCC see this as a must hold, even though it has been gerrymandered into being a Republican R+9 district? So that's going to be the big question. And to your point, who they invest in, because if you invest in the same, losers who keep on failing with Black candidates, it's a wash. One person they probably shouldn't listen to will probably let you go. I cannot not play this for you, my sister, and let you have a chance to respond to it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear Van Jones crash out regarding the victory by Abdul El-Sayed, another race that Democrats are going to have to grit their teeth and invest in, even though they don't like progressives, because he's the nominee. Here's Van Jones on Abdul El-Sayed.
Voters want.
Okay, Van Jones, what are the stakes here for Democrats?
Look, this is the whole ball of wax. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee. There was a guy named Gil Scott Heron who had a great poem. It was called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Gil Scott Heron is wrong. The revolution is being televised and podcast and streamed and elected tonight. Why is that? It's because there is a credibility gap that's opened up between the Democratic Party establishment and this insurgency. People are looking at people and they're saying, you've been telling us the same thing for a long time and our lives are not any better. We got Donald Trump twice. There's also an innovation gap. Why can you spend $60 million and get whooped like this? Because the old model was you get the donors to get the consultants to buy a bunch of ads and you win. That's how you get attention. This movement says, I don't need donors, ads, I don't need consultants. I'm going right to the people with TikTok and grassroots, and they've disintermediated the entire donor class, disintermediated the entire consultant class, and this is a revolution. And so this is going to happen again and again. The Democratic Party is now Blockbuster. These kids are Netflix. We are selling CDs out the trunk. This is Napster becoming Spotify, and it's happening tonight.
So,
well, I can't argue with his analysis, but I just feel like him mentioning Gil Scott-Heron mean he gonna get haunted.
I was mad about that. I said, first of all, don't ever say the King Gil Scott is wrong about anything. He ain't wrong. The revolution might not be televised because we underground working, sir. It still might not be televised. So we just, let's not King Gil.
He gonna wake up in the morning, Gil Scott-Heron gonna be, be playing a drum and haunting him. But anywho,
my brother, revolution will not be televised. Actually, no. But here's the thing: I want to say the most important thing that we can learn from this is that every single vote counts. At the end of the matter, it was 1 percentage point that took him over the finish line. It was 16,000 votes in Michigan, and also the voter turnout was high. So shout out to Michigan for that. Mm-hmm. I think it is very important that in this time, there is repair work that's done. There were a lot of narratives about Abdul out about him not reaching out to Black voters. And what I think is fascinating is like our guy Conscious Lee had a video with him and he's telling you he's Egyptian, but he was like, I am African. He is like claiming his African heritage. He's telling you what books he read, Booker T, Frederick Douglass, all of these things. He's connected to us in ways that like Byron Donalds and John James could never, So it's like, I think what we need to be talking about here really is values now. Could he have done some things differently? I would say, yeah, Joy, it sounds like there are some old establishment party Black folks who didn't feel locked in with him and they felt like they could get a direct line to Haley. Well, these are the conversations we got to have, because if it's going to remain a big tent and not a little hut, we got to expand and we have to talk to people who see things differently. What I really also respect is like Mayor Mamdani was asked about him being called a little Mamdani. And he was like, no, he's his own person. We have to allow for someone to embrace the policies of someone that's progressive. By the way, most of us are progressive. We just don't always say that, especially our elders. Embrace those values and still be allowed to own their personhood, and I think that is what he's done. Also, shout out to Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, who's endorsed him, who will be working with him to make sure that Michigan has someone who represents a lot of their values in the Senate. So shout out to MVP.
Yes, indeed. And shout out to you, Angela Reid, the better math person of the two of us. And that is actually
just today, girl. It's an inside joke, y'all. I went to law school to avoid this. It's bad. Pray for me. Pray for us. We apparently need.
I'm a writer. I'm not a math person.
I'm a lawyer. I don't do this either. If anybody does math, please call Joy and I. We need your help. 1-800, we need help. The revolution will not be televised until we can add it up.
Amen.
Bye, y'all. It's Friday. We done. We tired. Okay.
Aaron. Boom. Thank you, Angela Reid. Everybody, please subscribe to the Native Land Pod. Native Land Pod is a lot of fun. I got to co-host the other day on it, and it was a whole lot of fun. Angela's great. Okay. All right. Big up to the machetes. Before we welcome you to hour 2 of the Joy Reid Show, which I will do shortly, I got to tell y'all this. People have been jumping in our chat talking about how much fun this is and how much they enjoy this show. I'm looking at all the chats and people are having a ball hanging out with us. But it is not just you guys. Can you put this up? C5, the New York Times did an entire study. They did the math. And the MAGA media machine, which has been, sort of treated as inviolable, as something that cannot be beaten, that Democrats got to find their own version of Joe Rogan. Like they've got to do this because the MAGA media machine is just impenetrable. You can't beat it. Look at the numbers. You can just see it's going all in the wrong direction. MAGA media machine is actually, it's fracturing, but also each and every component of it is losing audience. This might be one of the reasons that you're seeing Tucker Carlson, sort of tease the idea of starting his own political party. Everyone's running from Donald Trump. Donald Trump's very unpopular. And there's this weird thing happening where MAGA, as the sort of media entities around it, are actually losing audience. The individual YouTube views, the Rumble views, Rumble is really where they live, their ex-Twitter views for their video and text content, and even the podcast streams. You know, there was a moment when it was really hitting, but I think one of the reasons for this is that their guy, they put it all behind Trump. They went all in on Trump. Nicolas Fuentes, all of these guys, they went all in as Trumpers, and now they're all backpedaling away from him. They're all now, even Alex Jones, saying he should be impeached.
But you know, so funny.
Yeah.
If you look at the podcast item, podcast listeners, the peak was right before the election.
Yes.
And then it just died after that. So he was building up from April 2025 all the way to the peak in October, and then crashed ever since.
Yeah, as somebody said, they're deporting their base. I mean, yes, the deporting is absolutely, that's part of it. Absolutely. You know, that and also their guy is just a loser. And I think you're seeing a lot of these people sort of they were red pilled into Trump. All of these young podcasters were all lining up behind Trump. They were all Trumpers. But then they're quickly finding out that Trump is only in it for himself. Now they're finding out that the drain the swamp thing is bullshit. Think of all of a lot of it was built on conspiracy theories. QAnon. Well, that turns out to be the Epstein files, and the villain in QAnon is Trump. And so they're like, oh, we can't do that. They can't touch that. Their other big conspiracy theory was that Donald Trump really won the 2020 election. These guys literally went out there, sacked the Capitol. They believed that so much, expecting to get paid. They thought they were going to get financial reparations. You've even got Republicans trying to shut that down. RubMySlushMoney.com if you want to make sure that you're on the list so we can keep an eyeball on it. But I mean, they're still trying to figure out how they could pay these people off. But a lot of these people's lives have been ruined. They've lost their businesses. They've lost family. Some of them, spent some time in jail, even though they're pardoned. Everybody knows who they are, what they are. A lot of them probably getting jobs at ICE. That was one of their other big conspiracy theories. All their health conspiracy theories. They now have the presidential power to play with all their conspiracy theories, and people are dying. You know, RFK Jr. is running through all of their favorite conspiracy theories, that COVID was manufactured in the Wuhan labs and Fauci really created COVID in order to control it. It was the pandemic. They were trying to control our brains with the vaccine, all of that stuff. Well, now they get to play with the federal government and with the federal health system. And all that's happening is that we have outbreaks of measles and all sorts of diseases we thought had been eradicated are coming back. Their kids are probably getting sick, dying, languishing at home with spots all over. Like, it's literally all the bad illnesses coming back. It was the immigrants. We're just going to get rid of immigrants. White people are getting shot in the face. And the government can't work, can't function because they've laid off too many people. They've oopsied because they laid off the people who were in charge of the nukes. The government is now completely inefficient. They're now, struggling to get airlines off the ground without crashing. They're struggling. They have their ideal all-white government, and it's an absolute disaster. Their military, which they were running all the women and the blacks and the browns and the beardos out, and now they've got a military that's just committing war crimes and has no more munitions. Trump is crashing out because he said no more wars. Remember, that was the other promise? He didn't do that. We're now in a forever war with Iran. Iran's like, bring it. We can stay at this war forever. Remember, we have a long memory. We got that long Muslim memory. Bring it, bitch. And they're like, we're going to bomb all your friends. All the Gulf states are like, God, why are we your friend? Everything that they wanted from Trump, no new wars, drain the swamp. He's the swamp. And so now people are like, well, why even sit there and try to listen to these people who were wrong because they told me to support Trump? My life is crap. We're a tariff nation. Trump is putting, having the government buy parts of industries. That's communism. And now their new project is they're going to take over Cuba. What the hell? Meanwhile, though, if you put up C6, not everybody is losing out. Our trajectory, we're going up. 1.4 million users in the last month. Our trajectory is going in the right direction. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud that our trajectory is going in the right direction and really with a steady line up. We have not had, the dips and dives of everyone else. We've gone up. We had 20,000 new subscribers in just the last month. 1.4 million people experienced the Joy Reid Show just in the last month. And if you saw our streams, it's even about more than double that. So we are literally doing the opposite thing that what they're doing. We are gaining while they are losing. Independent media is going up, up, up. And independent media that tells the truth about Trump, the truth about the right, the truth about MAGA. We're going in the right direction. So if you want to be a part of it, please be sure to hit like and subscribe. Hitting subscribe helps us continue that trajectory going in the right direction, making sure that we continue to add subscribers. Again, we are less than 8,000 away.
I was just about to say that.
Yep, less than 8,000 away from 500,000. And be sure to put in the chat, not only put in the chat your ideas. What do you think we should do when we get to 500,000? What do you think we should do? How should we celebrate 500,000? Because that is the vault through which we would pivot ourselves and fly up to 1 million subscribers. That is what we plan to do. And we're doing it in record time. It normally takes about 3 years for a YouTube channel to get to where this channel has gotten in just over 1 year. We only launched, believe it or not, last June. It's only a year and 2 months, my math again. So we haven't even been around that long. The Joy Reid Show is like a baby. We just started basically, and we're already at nearly 500,000 subscribers. We're a baby. We're a baby. No, we haven't turned 2 yet. 2 next June will be 2. We're only 1 year and
oh, that's right. 1 year,
2 months.
I'm trying to grow up before.
Yeah, June, July. Yeah, we're a year and 2 months old, and it normally again takes 3 years to get to 500,000 subscribers. We're doing that in record time. So please hit like and subscribe. Let me thank one of our wonderful sponsors because we couldn't do it without them. One of the other things that we've been managed to do, which is hard for a brand new YouTube channel to do, is we've gotten some amazing sponsors. Big ups to our friends at Crooked Media who are really supportive in that. And big up to our sponsor. This hour of the show is brought to you by our friends at iRestore. And I can tell you that one of the things about being in TV and doing this thing for a living is you really do have to take care to guard your eyes, your face and your hair, your eyes too, because I can't see. You have to guard your face and your hair. And one of the things that you do is you're constantly looking for ways to make sure that you don't have dullness and dryness and blemishes, and you're wearing makeup every day. And it's a lot, right? And if you've experienced issues with complexion, issues with trying to get your skin together, or issues with thinning hair or shedding, other hair concerns, you might want to try red light therapy. I had a good friend that worked with me way back in the Griot days who was like, you've got to do red light therapy. And at the time I was like, nah, I don't even know what that is. What is it? But it turns out it's actually game changing. And these devices from iRestore are really incredible and game changing devices. So they're very simple. You just literally use them just for a few minutes a day, and you do them a couple times a week. The Lomena face mask is great for restoring that vibrancy to your skin and helping to reduce and combat blemishes. You've also got the iRestore Elite, which is a great mask, which you just wear on your head, like while you're watching TV. It's an LED device that just works while you're chilling and makes you feel your best. It upgrades your hair and your skincare routine. And it's actually great, an affordable way to, not have to spend all day at the dermatologist. So iRestore has been leading the way in red light therapy for more than 2 decades, and they've helped shape the category. Their devices are clinically backed. They're trusted by more than 500,000 customers worldwide. They're simple, effective, great ways to support your skin and hair health at home. So the iRestore Elite is their most advanced laser hair growth system using 300 little lasers and 200 LEDs to help regrow thicker, healthier hair in as little as 3 months. It's simply effortless. As I said, just put it on while you're working, reading, or unwinding at night. Also, the Lomena face mask, that's the one I love. It's lightweight, it's cordless, it's packed with 2 times more LEDs than other top masks. It targets those fine lines, the breakouts, the dullness, and they use triple wavelength light therapy to do that. So you just do it for 10 minutes, like a few times a week for brighter, smoother, healthier looking skin. Best part, you can bundle them together. You can bundle them together to get it a great value, and it makes a perfect bundle to upgrade your routine. So how do you do it? iRestore is also so confident in their products. They also give you a 12-month money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. If your skin doesn't look healthier, you get a full refund. No awkward questions. They just send you back your money. iRestore right now is offering some huge discounts on their red light therapy devices. Right now, you can save on customer favorites like the iRestore Elite helmet and the Lomena face mask. Just head over to iRestore.com. Use the code JOY, that is JOY, at iRestore.com. And please support our show by telling them that we sent you. Give your hair and skin the upgrade they deserve so that you can feel confident and refreshed. So let's talk about this case that we have been following so closely. The case of Nolan Wells. It has become, I think, for a lot of is sort of the world, it's become something of an obsession. Once Nancy Grace got into it, people were like, oh, well, now it's even more on and popping. People see it as almost a murder mystery, even though there's no actual evidence that anyone did anything nefarious to Nolan. But his disappearance is strange for the reasons that our guests keep telling you it's strange. Because if it was a simple drowning, one would think that it would be solved already. There actually wouldn't be a mystery. No one would be talking about it because it would be a tragedy. It would be sad for the families, but it wouldn't actually be something that you could, point to as some sort of a case to follow. But everything about this case has been strange. I think because of the way that the friends are acting, the friends' families are acting, deleting their socials, all the things, everything about it has just been weird. And if you look at it, the interviews that have been done by people like Warren Hudson and by this young kid Trayston with Officer Brandon Tatum have actually made the mystery even deeper. And you've also had this phenomenon that the parents of Nolan Wells have been vilified and attacked across the media world and really treated as if they are the villains for just trying to find out what happened to their son. The other thing that's happened is that the friends, the white friends specifically, are now also getting death threats, which is also unacceptable. And they are being the subject of all sorts of sort of online sleuthing to find out if they did something wrong. So Bart Edmonston Jr. is the only one of this group of friends who is over of age. Bart Edmonston Jr. apparently is about 21 years old. He's entering his second season as a punter at the University of Wyoming. He's been profiled on ESPN, and he has vehemently denied having anything to do with Nolan Wells' disappearance and death. And his coach is now speaking out about it and saying that that he has ever done anything wrong. So his coach at the University of Wyoming, where he plays football, released a statement that says the following regarding the tragic death of Nolan Wells in Mississippi and the very public social media link to one of our players, Bart Edmonston. At no time since July 4 have we been aware in any way, shape, or form, or has it come to our attention that Bart Edmonston has been the subject or has been a suspect or currently is a suspect. We have no information that has ever linked him to this. We have no further comment on it until an official investigation is completed. Bart doesn't have a defense attorney, the statement said, and has never had a defense attorney. His family does have a personal attorney, Russell Latino, who was retained to fight defamation issued against Bart and his family. So any other comments or questions that you want regarding that and Bart can be directed to Mr. Latino. But as far as us on the program, like I said, we have had no information and nothing has been brought to our attention that he's ever been a suspect or is a suspect. But a suspect in what? Right? The way that Mississippi authorities are acting, they're acting as if there's some sort of criminal investigation when, again, there's no evidence that there's a criminal investigation. It's just odd. And so now you have sort of these denials that there's any sort of criminal investigation related to Bart Edmonston. There is a theory that Bart Edmonston might have been the person who took that video that showed the boat, which we showed earlier that Officer Tatum had for his podcast, that showed this tiny little boat all alone in the water, and someone is filming them while they're on it, which is a question of who filmed it. And there are the questions being raised by the marine boat company that was called for help to find Nolan Wells. And they raised their own questions and said, well, who is boat X? Well, we don't know which boat is boat X. Maybe that is boat X. You can just sort of deduce from Warren Hudson's interviews that he's the one who towed the boat, that it wasn't Sea Tow, the company that has a contract with the grandfather of Wyatt, whose boat Nolan went out on and didn't come back on. Sea Tow ended up not towing the boat. Bart did, allegedly, right? And that is according to Warren Hudson. He said that Bart towed the boat back. And so people are now focusing on Bart, who had one of these other boats. But again, no one has accused him of actually doing anything. But all of the throwing around of these folks' names has caused them to get death threats. And that is the only thing that we know of that the federal government is investigating. And they've actually made one arrest for somebody who called in threats to the judge who's Warren's mother or stepmother. So this is all the things that are happening. So, right. So this is the only arrest that's been made in this case. And and there have actually been 3 people who've been arrested in connection with threats to the white friends and their families, and also for doxing them, because all the online sleuths are putting out their names, they're putting out their pictures, they're putting out their histories, they're doing all the things. But what we have not gotten anyone to do is to give us specific information on whether anyone at all saw Nolan Wells after 3 p.m. Because Warren's story is weird. He says the last time that he and his friend saw their friend was at 3 when they ordered him to get on the boat. He didn't get on the boat. An hour and a half later, that boat is calling for help, saying that it is sinking. But you can just see the video of it. It doesn't look like a sinking distressed boat. Whatever it is that's happening to it is either not happening anymore, or there's no Coast Guard or anyone towing them. They get towed by another friend, and then the boat just goes along its way. So let's go ahead and dig into what we know about this case for now. But before I do that, I want to play for you and for them, that they're backstage so they can hear it, the response of Christine Wansley, who is responding to all the hate that she's been getting. She's been getting downrated at her job, trying to get her fired, all these things. So she responded to all the sleuthers that are helping and all the haters that are attacking her and her family. Here it is, D1.
Hey, Boo Bears. Let me say this. My husband and I are going to continue to advocate. I know so many people are like, oh my God, you need to stay off social media. You need to give it a break. Well, just know I'm not on social media all day. I'm not. I've been heavy in my Kindle. And then, of course, too, I have other children that I take care of. But occasionally I do pop on. Most of the time I just post, come off. But trust and believe that I'm doing the things I need to do to take care of my mental. And sometimes posting does feel nice because I get to check in with my different Boo Bears and see how everyone is doing. But if you have an issue with me advocating and asking questions, I don't think I'm the problem, babe. I think you're the problem. I think you need to take a step back and ask yourself, why are you so triggered? Or what is causing you to be so upset that I am asking for answers? That is it. That is all. Never ask for special treatment, none of that. But there are just a lot of people who's bothered. But what I will tell you is that there are a lot more people who, despite the nasty negative narratives that are trying to be thrown out there, there's a lot of other people supporting me and my husband Elmore. And we just appreciate that. You know, just as parents, losing a child, I'm telling you y'all, it hits different. My mom passed away. It's going to be 8 years. And this hurt, I've said this in another video, this hurt is different. This is like a soul-wrenching hurt. Like you feel like your heart is just being ripped out. I don't even know if that's even a good way to describe this hurt, but yeah. But I just want to say thank you guys. I'm telling y'all, thank you so much. Thank you to all the content creators who are using their podcasts, their platforms, all those things to make sure that Nolan's story is going. I appreciate y'all. And I know I say thank you all the time, but even when I'm broken, I still need to give thanks, whether it's thanking the Lord for another day, thanking him for the time we had with Nolan, or just simply saying thank you to you guys for just loving on me and my family and your prayers. And I appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't get back to everybody because it is overwhelming, but just know I appreciate you and I love you. And I'm going to go clean up and get my life together. Have a great Sunday, guys.
And joining me now is Janai Norman, journalist, author, and mom, using her platform to inform and uplift after nearly a decade as anchor and correspondent on Good Morning America, and Warren Ballentine, radio host, motivational speaker, author, and legal expert, host of Common Ground on Sirius XM, channel 141, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you both for being here. I do want to start with you, Janai, because this is the reason we stay with this case is, you know, I covered Black Lives Matter for a long time, and it is one of those things where so many young people die in strange and mysterious ways that after a while people just outside get numb to it. But I can never forget the moms. I can never not see them in my mind. And so when I see this mom with this mystery hanging over her child's death, as a mom myself, I can't not cover it, and stay with it until she gets a conclusion that she deserves. What do you make of the fact that she's now having to also respond to people who are literally hating on her for trying to find the answers?
Joy, it's impossible to wrap my mind around it. And it's hard to watch that video without tearing up, because it's the emotion that you feel, the connection that you feel to Christine Wansley as a mother on the very basic level that I would think any parent would give her, that sympathy, that empathy, that connection, that heartfelt connection, being unable to imagine what she's going through. So the idea that she is getting hate or anything other than love, support, and anything that she needs is unfathomable to me. It's just a lack of humanity, and it's just disturbing that that is the situation for her. And I think that she just continues to show her strength, and she shouldn't have to, but that's what she does in that video by continuing to say that there's nothing that's going to stop her from advocating and fighting to get answers on behalf of her son. And I think that that's what we all want for her as a parent.
Yeah, and I would say the same for Elmore Wansley, Warren, because he's a lot. He's got the sort of manly calm, but you can tell that he's in a lot of pain too. And I just think people are setting that aside and either treating it as content or treating it as an opportunity to attack Black people. To be honest with you, to attack a Black couple.
Well, Joy, I will say this: I think whenever you lose anybody that you truly love unconditionally, that pain, it stays with you forever. And I think that in this particular case right here, a lot of people need to step back and just look at it like this. I don't care if you're Black, white, Hispanic, Native American. If you're a mother or a father and you lose your child, you would want to know answers too. This is no different than this has been going on since the beginning of time. Women have always wanted to know what happened to their children if something happened to them. Fathers have always wanted to know what happened to their children if something happened to them. So everybody getting upset about this and getting mad because she's putting out content or other people are putting out things. The sad thing about it to me, Joy, more than anything else though, is all the false stories that's out here about this family, about Nolan, even about the young men who have not been literally charged with anything. It's so many false stories being put out here that we have literally made this like we're in a political climate, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, instead of just being human beings and being like, hey, this young boy, he didn't come home. His friends, now they're being put under the microscope. So this reminds me a lot of the Duke case, a whole lot of the Duke case, because I was literally practicing law in North Carolina during the Duke case.
Remind us what that case is, for those who don't remember.
So what happened was the University of Duke lacrosse players had a party. They hired an exotic dancer. I'll say it like that, an exotic dancer. And the exotic dancer accused them of raping her. She went to the DA with it. It was really no evidence at all for a charge, but the DA, because of public pressure, charged those young men. And those young men got stained for life, even though they didn't do anything. And even in a case like this, and I keep telling people, even on my show, look, as much as you all want to make this a Black-white issue, we can't do that right now. What we need to do is make this a right issue. Let's find out what really happened, because this could be where those kids weren't involved in anything. And they're getting scared and their families are lowering up and everything else because that's what they think they need to do. Not understanding that that's making them look a certain way. The other part of this, Joy, like I told you the last time I was on the show, I don't understand how anybody would let their child do interviews right now who may be getting looked at this, because the truth of the matter is it's a lot of stuff that nobody's talking about. Like, this island is under federal jurisdiction, right? So the FBI should be all over this. I don't know what the Department of Justice is doing. I would hope that our president will come out and say, hey, what are you guys doing? We need to be looking at this. And so when the state's attorney in Mississippi is coming out saying different things, I'm sitting here like, well, wait a minute, this may not even be your case. How are you telling people what you're going to put something to the grand jury if you find evidence, and it may not even be your case because it may end up in a federal court? So it's a lot of missed things out here that people don't understand, and we need to get all of the evidence, all of the facts. And hell, even Nancy Grace is saying this, and she's even saying, look, you can't get mad for a mama wanting to know what happened to her child.
Right. Anyone would want that. And by the way, the Duke rape case, as Warren described it, is what birthed Stephen Miller's political career, because he was advocating for the young white men and calling out Black political activists and civil rights activists in that case. Now, I'm not sure what happened in that situation, but the bottom line is he was all over it and turned it into a white, the white nationalists glommed onto it as well. I'll put it that way. And he and they were on one side of that case, and a lot of Black folks were on the other. But Janai, the other piece of this is that the way that people are talking about the case and about the parents, about the young men and about the parents, it actually has real impact. I'm looking here at a story in the Mississippi Free Press that Christine Wells Wansley, who is the mom of Nolan Wells, we just saw that video. She was investigated for professional misconduct because someone who was angry that she is trying to find answers to her son's disappearance, doing what any mom would do, as Nancy Grace and others have said, somebody anonymously reported her and got her formally investigated for professional misconduct. Thankfully, they have now concluded and dismissed and ended that investigation. But people have the ability now, because you can just find where people work, and it's easy enough to do that, to punish a stranger or trying to investigate the disappearance of her child. This is insanity.
It truly is insanity, literally trying to punish and do harm to this woman to the point that it impacts her job, how she's able to help provide for her family, wanting to harm her in that way just because she's asking questions. And she is doing it, continuing to do it with such grace all throughout this entire process, while having a spotlight on her, while being in unimaginable pain, and then having to deal with the hate, with these kind of accusations against her. It is all hard to wrap your mind around, but it's just ridiculous. Like you said, it is insane that she's having to do this, but we're seeing the impacts of social media. We can say that social media is not real life all we want, but social media does have real life impacts, and we're continuing to see that. And that goes back to what Warren was talking about needing there to just be a full investigation and all of the misinformation out there, because that has the possibility of having real world impacts and impacting a jury pool and other people who could be called into this process. And so all of it, we are seeing, yes, social media helps in getting the story out there, getting people talking about it, making sure that there is a good investigation, that there is hopefully ultimately justice for Nolan and his family. But we also see the negative impacts of social media when that there are people who lack humanity and want to have the negative impacts.
I mean, the reality is, though, and I 100% blame the state of Mississippi. I'm sorry. And I blame the state medical examiner. I blame the state attorney, because if this is a simple drowning, they've got the evidence of that, right? The state medical examiner did an autopsy before the private autopsy happened, retained all of the body parts, did not give them to the private autopsy. They have the throat structure. They could say if his throat was constricted, if he had some sort of wounds. They are the ones with the evidence. If it's a drowning, release the report. That would end all of the online sleuthing immediately, because if they release the report and they prove it's a drowning, it's done, right? They won't do it. They're the ones who are prolonging this in a way that, here's how crazy it is. Let me tell you this, Warren. I'm gonna bring this to you first. This is what is being reported right now by CNN. More than a month after the body of Nolan Wells was found along the shoreline of a Mississippi barrier island, 3 friends believed to have traveled out to Horn Island with Wells will return there in an effort to investigate the case, their attorneys say to CNN. Warren Hudson, the first interviewee from Officer Tatum, Jax Patalo, who's been named by Warren as one of the friends, and Morgan Seymour, who are believed to have been with Wells on the 4th of July, the day that he went missing, will go to the island to, quote, investigate the layout and dynamic, per their attorneys. What the actual, so now they're going to investigate? It's gotten so bad that these 3 are like, we'll be the investigators. Are they doing this for, like, what is happening, Warren?
It could be a couple of things going on here, Joy, to be honest with you. It could be, one, they know they're innocent. And so they're going to say, hey, we're going to go and we're going to try to find out what happened, because you guys seem not to know what the island is and what the island is about. They say they go out there all the time, so they may know stuff that, the typical investigator may not know. Secondly, what you said in the beginning of this about the state's attorney's office and the coroner's office, look, they did the autopsy on his lungs and on his stomach. Anybody who's ever been involved in a drowning knows that if you've drowned, it's always going to be some water in your stomach. It's always going to be something in your lungs. They could just report that if that was the case. They still haven't reported even that much. And the fact that these lawyers are allowing their clients to go over to this island to investigate, that is bonkers to me. I mean, that is just bonkers to me. It's just like, where did you get your law degree from? Sears and Roebuck? You do not take these kids over here to this island and let them do anything, because now you're giving their DNA, their fingerprints, everything that somebody can come back around and say, well, we found evidence of them over here near where Nolan's body was found at. Why would you do something like this?
And
This
it
is stupid.
literally, it flies right in the face of what you were saying before, Warren, about why some of these kids may not be speaking at this point, why their families wouldn't want them to speak. So why on earth would you then have them out there playing Professor Gadget, trying to solve this themselves? That's
no, they the Scooby-Doo crew. They out there like the Scooby-Doo crew.
It's really
and the thing about it that's so wild, and this is why people remain suspicious, because if their DNA is already out there, then if they go back, then it muddies those waters too. Why would investigators let them go? But forget the idiocy of their lawyers, who should probably all be disbarred for letting them talk at all. And number one, talk but to a podcaster who's not a journalist and who's clearly an advocate for them.
But you
siding with them.
Joy, and you know what? You brought this up before, and it starts to make you think, when there are all of these things that keep happening, what could be the benefit of that? Well, it just muddies the water so much that when it comes time, if it comes time beyond a reasonable doubt, it's just not there, because the waters are so muddied, and they seem to be being muddied very much intentionally.
Yeah.
Officer Tatum, let me say this about Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum started his police career in Tucson, Arizona. And the reason I know this is because my last year of high school, I graduated from high school in Tucson, Arizona. So I've known this man. I've known him as an officer. So when I tell you that it is more behind all this stuff, it is a lot more behind all this stuff.
Know it.
Yeah, right?
Know it.
Yeah. So it is a lot more behind this, and it's a reason why he was chosen. It was a reason why they gave him the outlet to do the interviews with.
What are the reasons?
Well, the reasons is because, like you said, he's advocating for them, and he presented it to them like that. I will advocate for you guys. Let me be the voice so I can calm down all the stuff that the Black community might be saying. Now, I'm gonna say this though. On the other hand, he asked some good questions in these interviews, but he did not reveal everything, because in each one of his interviews, he talks about how he had already interviewed them before the interview, which means that he guided them on what they needed to be on. And
they
that's
gave
the problem.
them exclusive information and guided them, and then didn't ask like basic questions like, didn't it seem unusual to you that Nolan let you keep his phone if he refused to go with you on the boat? Wouldn't it have been normal for you to hand him back his phone? How did you expect that he was going to get in touch or get the number for this girl that he had met?
Better yet, how were you texting with Katie if you all say you all didn't know the girl?
You said you didn't know her. He met her.
You said you didn't know her, but then you say I was texting with Katie.
He locked what happened, and we got another guest we have to get to, but he literally locked them into a story that they cannot back out of. Nope. He has locked them into a narrative that has lots of holes in it. And so again, this isn't something like because left-wingers hate these young white boys because they're white and conservative and Southern. It's because they keep saying that they and the state of Mississippi and the Jackson police, they keep on either leaving things out or locking in statements that all make no sense. If it's just a drowning, I implore the state of Mississippi, just put out the evidence it's a drowning so this mom and dad can sleep at night and all of us can allow them to move on. Because
Joy, I want to say one last thing.
Please.
One last thing. This is for everybody out there. Please listen to me when I say this. It is a big difference between being a snitch and a witness. It was over 300 people out there. All of you who saw something who are not saying them because you don't want to be a snitch. A snitch is somebody who was part of the plan, who actually worked to do the crime. And then they get caught and they snitch on everybody else. A witness is somebody who had no idea this was going on and they just happened to see it. You are a witness. It's a big difference. You're not a snitch. You're not a snitch.
There's no FBI, unfortunately, but call somebody. Janai Norman, let everybody know where they can see you. I did tell about your show, Warren, but remind folks where they can check you out.
Sirius XM, channel 141, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Also, WB Common Ground on YouTube. And then hopefully a lot more here with my sister, Joy.
Amen. Listen, you're locked in. You're locked in. Janai Norman, I love you.
Thank you so much, Joy.
You get a 10 for the set. I think people are already commenting.
Oh, yeah. Your set is fire, girl.
Thank you.
Tell us how we can get more Janai Norman.
Oh, my gosh. On Instagram and on TikTok, at Janai.Norman. Find me there.
Fabulous. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right. So let's talk about some other of the. Listen, we just staying in the lane of things that make no sense. Warner Brothers, home to lots and lots of your favorites, will likely soon be in the hands of the same very, very, very Zionist, very, very ideological family that already owns TikTok. So the Nepo baby, David Ellison, son of Larry, who owns Oracle, who's going to soon probably be in control of Warner Brothers as well if this big Paramount agreement goes through for Paramount to acquire it. He wrote an op-ed in the New York Times in which he defended himself against the fear people have about him taking over. Let me read a bit of it. He says, many people have weighed in on Paramount's agreement to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, media analysts, power brokers, political commentators, competitors, and of course, lawyers for a transaction of this size that is expected and appropriate. The one person you haven't heard from is me. There's a reason for that. I believe that anyone who oversees a news organization, I'm chief executive of Paramount, which owns CBS, shouldn't put a finger on the scale, especially on matters involving his own company. Really? Well, just put a finger on the scale for 60 minutes. That was me saying. But when California's attorney general, 11 other states' attorneys, and a day later, the Writers Guild of America sued to stop the deal, I stayed quiet. I quickly learned that such restraint has costs. While I was silent, others were happy to write my story for me. No more. The states claim that this deal will give one company too much influence over theatrical releases and cable operators, while the WGA argues that our combined market power will hurt writers. Both suits imagine a Hollywood that no longer exists, an industry ruled by a handful of legacy studios. And add up every hour Americans spend watching television, and a combined Paramount Warner would account for less than 20% of all watch time, competing every day against Netflix, Amazon, Apple, which are all companies whose resources dwarf ours. Include YouTube's user-generated content in that math, and our share would drop to around 13%. A combined company would account for just 18% of the domestic box office over the past 12 months and only 22% on average over the past 2 years. Those are not the numbers of a company that can dictate what audiences watch or what writers get paid. In this op-ed, he also addressed the giant, enormous CNN-shaped elephant in the room. And here's what he said about that. He said, I believe this fight is not really about market share. If it were, it wouldn't have been reviewed and approved by regulators reflecting 65 countries, including the United States and China, as well as the European Union. I believe a plainer worry sits beneath the beliefs and the news releases, the news. The issue is whether I can be trusted as a steward of Warner's CNN. There's been speculation about my politics, my loyalties, my intentions. Unfortunately, I can't give everyone a view into my heart and mind, but I can share this. I have regularly voted for candidates of both parties. I don't mean anything. I hold some views that would be called conservative and others that would be called liberal, like most Americans. And when it comes to our news operations, I do not aspire to lead these companies to bend their newsrooms to my views. I believe that the news should be based on facts and truth. Great news organizations like CNN and CBS News are here to tell it straight down the middle. That requires newsrooms that reflect the whole world, not one side of it. And it requires independence. Our journalists will continue to answer to the facts and to the people they serve, not to any party or cause. These were the founding principles of both CNN and CBS News for legends like Ted Turner and Edward R. Murrow, who will now haunt him for mentioning their names, by the way. And it's exactly that kind of independence that has always framed the greatness of success. Got it. Okay. The bottom line is the problem with that, of course, is that there are lots of people who voted for both Democrats and Republicans. There are people who voted for both Trump and Obama. There were Obama-Trump voters. That exists. And the idea that he's saying that he doesn't want to bend any newsroom to his will, well, the evidence that that's a lie is called CBS News, which has gone from being the Tiffany network and a hallmark of both Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite's incredible journalism to basically being a toady for Trump. It's a network in which people who worked at 60 Minutes say that they were ordered to put lies into the news. So what he's saying is belied by the facts of his own stewardship of CBS News, and we know what he'll do to CNN. We know. Well, joining me now is one of the main opponents to that deal, California's 34th Attorney General, Rob Bonta. And General Bonta, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Joy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. What do you make of David Ellison's self-defense?
Honestly, it struck me as desperate, parts of it insincere, and sort of damage control on full blast. And they have lost in the court multiple times, and I think he was trying to do some damage control after all of the losses being racked up. Maybe he's trying to talk to the shareholders to give him some confidence, but he is absolutely missing the point here. This case is just a straight up black and white, bread and butter, meat and potatoes antitrust case, where we've identified 3 markets where this proposed merger would break the law. He wants to talk in his op-ed about everything except that. And maybe that's by design, because if he talks about the actual case, there's nothing really for them to talk about except for the fact that they're breaking the law. That's all we care about. And this is a red herring about CNN. This is not political. This is, politics doesn't fly in the court. Courts are sanitized places where you bring the law, you bring the facts, you bring the receipts. We brought them. The court found in our favor. They found that we're likely to succeed on the merits. Even David Ellison, Paramount and Warner Brothers, saw the writing on the wall, knew they were going to lose on a preliminary injunction, and they agreed that because they were forced to, because they would have taken another humiliating loss if they didn't agree to it, that the trial, that they would not merge until next summer, or until this case is decided. So there's no merger until next summer, or until our case is decided. And we've been winning so far. We expect to keep winning. We're ready to prepare our case and go to trial. And meanwhile, Mr. Ellison is talking about everything except for what's relevant, what's material in this actual case in the court of law. He makes the case that because you have streamers like YouTube and all sorts of alternatives for people to watch, that there's nothing wrong with a big old giant studio that owns both Warner and Paramount. In your view, or at least in your legal view, in the view of your Attorney General's office, what's wrong with having a big old enormous studio? What would be wrong with that, and how would that hurt consumers? Yeah. Paramount and Warner Brothers are titans of the entertainment industry, long been competitors. Competition is good for markets. It keeps prices fair. It makes quality high. It provides more output for consumers. And if they merge, the merged entity would be an absolute entertainment behemoth. They operate in multiple markets because they're diversified corporations. And so they can't break the law in any market. And we've identified 3 markets: widespread theatrical release, blockbuster theatrical release, and cable channel licensing, where they break the law. And so they say, don't worry about us breaking the law in those 3 markets. We think that this merger will actually help us in another market, a 4th market, the streaming market. And that's just not how the law works. You can't break the law in any market, even if you think the merger might help you in one specific market. So we've identified 3 markets. They break the law in all 3. The court has found for us so far. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Ellison is talking about something that's completely irrelevant to the case, a 4th market that we don't allege in our complaint.
So, there used to be a time back in the old days of old Hollywood when, a Warner Brothers or an MGM owned the studio that produced the movies, owned the theaters that showed the movies, and had contracts with the writers that acted in the movies. They basically owned every aspect of filmmaking. And in that case, they were serious monopolies. And those were broken up. It was made that they were not supposed to own all. But now if you have let's say a Paramount, Warner, they could produce the movies, put them on Paramount Plus if they have to pay a fee, but they also own HBO Max. They could merge those 2 together and force you, if you're an HBO Max person, well, now you got to pay for Paramount Plus. You don't have a choice, or you can't see the films, right? It's wild that we're in a position where we're going to go right back to like Marilyn Monroe's Hollywood.
Absolutely. And that's what antitrust law is all about. It's been in the law of the United States of America for over a century. It's anti-monopoly law. It stops companies from merging and having too much market share, where they can do exactly what you say. They can dictate the prices. They have too much leverage. They have too much negotiating power. They can give you terrible quality at high prices. so that consumers pay more for less when you have too much power in the hands of too few. That's exactly what this anti-monopoly laws have been about. And for a long time, both Republicans and Democrats have agreed we need free and fair markets, free of anti-competitive conduct, free of monopolies, not rigged markets, and that we can't have any oligarchs, any kings, anyone with too much power and concentrated power in the markets. And this merger creates that intolerable, legally unacceptable amount of market concentration. That's why we're moving to block it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining, I think they would also own Nickelodeon. So basically from children's programming to adult programming, grown-ups programming, you wouldn't be able to get away from it. And then their politics, and we know what David Ellison and his father's politics are. They're very right wing. It means you'd be locked in Fox News, like everywhere you turn, there'd be nowhere to get away from it, even in the news, meaning now they own CBS and CNN. And I, as a person that's out here in journalism world, I'm concerned as much as, the variety can be a choose your own adventure nightmare for people who just want to find the truth. At least now, if you don't want the Fox News experience, you don't have to have it. But if they own that, and you're already seeing consolidation of the people who own local TV stations, we get toward North Korea, because they're going to tell us what entertainment looks like. And they're going to say, well, it's not going to be this many Black people, this many Black writers, this many Latino writers. We don't want anything in Spanish. We don't want this many gay characters. We don't want that. And you can't get it anywhere. Right. And then if they say for the news, you only get this one view, which happens to be exactly like the president's view. And if you don't like that, there's nowhere to go. I worry that we're getting there, where we're going to have a sort of one big media entity that owns everything, including social media. And then aren't we North Korea?
Multiple players, competitors in the industry is good. Different perspectives, different viewpoints, different truth seekers, truth tellers is all good. We make this argument in a separate case that we have where we're challenging the Nexstar-Tegna merger of broadcast television. We're arguing that it'll cut jobs, but it'll also reduce perspectives and truth telling and truth seeking. And the same is true here. We believe that this merger will lead to less volume of output, less content, whether it be in art, TV or movies, or in news, and less perspectives, less providing of information to the American people so that they can consider all of the facts and circumstances and make decisions for themselves. We're a better democracy when there's more perspectives being shared, more viewpoints being provided. And, I definitely have long been a vocal supporter of the free press and truth tellers and truth seekers, those who hold the powerful accountable and hold their feet to the fire, who do investigative journalism to tell stories that we need to hear, even though we might not know we need to hear them. But on this case, this is just a straight up antitrust case. And if they merge, they will have 50 of the most sought after, popular cable channels in America, including, for children's TV, for adult programming, for news, for sports. The list goes on. And they will be able to dictate terms, lower quality, increase prices, have less volume, have less perspectives. All of those are adverse impacts on the market that we advance in our case, and we're trying to prevent from happening.
Yeah, and I should note for folks that, typically what happens when a merger happens is a lot of people get laid off because you have duplicative jobs in the various companies that merge. So you're probably going to see a lot of layoffs in your state, a lot of unemployed writers, people who work behind the scenes in production, a lot of people losing jobs. And I think you and I can both guess what the complexion of those layoffs are going to be, right? We know that it's going to be people who look like you and me. It's going to be brown and Black people. It's not going to be a lot of white males who are like 15% of the population of California, but are like 80% of the people in the writers' rooms and the people who are showrunners. So we already have like a very lopsided industry in Hollywood. And I anticipate that if you all don't prevail, it's going to just get worse.
I'm glad you make that point, Joy, about jobs. This merger is a job killer. It is a heavy debt-financed proposed merger. They will need to reduce costs immediately. Costs in the eyes of the executives and the number crunchers mean jobs, mean people, mean layoffs. So we're going to see job reduction, job cuts, job loss. For those who keep their jobs, will likely see reduced wages. This isn't conjecture or speculation. We've seen this before. We've seen this movie before, if you will, when it comes to corporate consolidation and market concentration and mergers. That's what they do. They cut jobs and they reduce wages. So that is certainly a very likely outcome of this proposed merger, and we're trying to avoid that.
Before I let you go, can we talk really quickly about AI? Because the other big threat to the jobs that we, sort of know and love, and a lot of people aspire to in Hollywood, is AI. But also not just the threat to jobs, but also the threat to our health. Is there a fight in California against the expansion of these data centers, which are popping up all over the country, polluting the air, stealing the water, making electric bills go up? What do you make of that fight, or what does that fight look like, I should say, in California? And are you concerned also that this merger would expand the use of AI, which would also kill more jobs in the entertainment industry?
I'm very concerned about data centers. I think that concern is shared by many publicly elected officials across the country. This isn't just a California issue. This is an American issue. I think folks are trying to make sure that all those things that you mentioned, all the adverse consequences are addressed somehow, that they pay for themselves and they don't saddle the ratepayers with additional costs, that they protect the environment, that they do right by our natural resources, our water, that they not expose anyone to unhealthy circumstances or conditions. I think those are all on the table to address. And I think AI is coming. It's here, it's growing. There is enormous upside to it. It has the possibility to cure disease and save lives and increase efficiency, increase safety. It also has absolutely horrendous downsides, to hurt children and teach them how to kill themselves, and have sexually explicit conversations with chatbots and lead to catastrophic risk. We need to guard against the downside and capture the upside. Part of the downside is replacing jobs. And we need to make sure that people continue to be able to work, that people continue to own, their name, image, likeness, that they can't, just use the images of actors, for example, in future movies and not pay those people whose images are being used. That was a point of contention during the last set of contract negotiations in Hollywood. So AI has quite a number of emerging threats. I don't want to blow by the upsides, because there are many as well, but we need to address those risks in a fair and reasonable way and make sure that we're protecting people who deserve to be protected from the threats of AI.
California's 34th Attorney General, Rob Bonta, and my favorite Attorney General of the 34th, because he's the only one I know now.
Honored and grateful. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you very much. It's a short line because you're the first California Attorney General I know, but you're the best so far. You're the best so far as I'm concerned. Thank you, sir. And please keep us updated on this fight against the Ellison monster. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was going to get her to cough, so I had to drink some water. But yeah, that's a good fight. I would argue that California right now is leading the resistance. California is the state that is the most active in terms of fighting the regime in every way possible. And so big up to Attorney General Rob Bonta, a great guy. And we really appreciate him coming on, Rob Bonta, for coming on, because you got to have somebody that's willing to actually fight. And I love California for that. If nothing else, California going to fight the regime. So big up to Attorney General Rob Bonta. All right. So we're going to get to our moment of joy. This one is kind of a rehash of something we love on this show. And we call it the Bikey Baby, because we know that some of our favorite content are dads biking with their kids. It's just, there's something about it that's just so fun. And especially when we're dealing with stories like the Nolan Wells case and stories that are really tragic and really sad, and all the fear of the Ellisons taking over our social media and our movies, you really want to have something, heartwarming. And there's nothing more heartwarming than wonderful parents who are doing great parenting, which is what most parents are doing, thank God. And especially parenting with bikes. If you've ever taught a kid to ride a bike, you will relate to this adorable video, and it is by Scandal Truth on Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment of joy that we call Bikey Baby.
You better hold my shirt, okay? Huh? You have to hold my shirt. Ready? I didn't know there was a bridge. Is this a hill down here? Is it a big one or a little one?
Medium one.
Medium? Yeah. So what's medium means?
It's like not too big, not too small, right in the middle. Okay. Medium means middle.
Not too big, not too small.
Yeah. What did you say, Jen?
Thank you. I wish somebody said, nice bike.
What did she say to you?
A nice job. Are you sweaty?
Yep. We're going uphill, right?
Yeah.
And what goes up?
Let's come down.
Yep.
Yes. I like bringing my bike here.
Yeah.
Watch out. Yeah. Come on, Daddy. You got this.
I'm coming.
You got it, bro. You do. Good shit, Pops. Don't stop. What? Who just copied me? Good shit.
Thanks, bro.
First of all, it's how quickly the baby went from "you got to hold my shirt" to "can you keep up, bro?" The dad was like up and up trying to keep up. After a while, the baby becomes so expert that it's like, "Run, daddy!" Yeah, run, daddy. Daddy got to run. The baby was gone. The baby was gone down the road. That was great. Thank you very much, Scandal Truth. That was a very cute video. We appreciate being a moment of joy. For anyone who's wondering about my shirt, it is "Where in the World is Carmen Gallego?" I don't know if you guys remember that Donald Trump, who may be wearing a wig these days. Have you guys noticed that? I think he might be wearing a wig because all of a sudden his hair is looking thickums.
Do tell.
So his hair all of a sudden has been looking thickums, and it's he don't really have hair on the top. He basically has a weave in the front.
We know what he's
in the
got.
front. No, but not anymore. Now his hair is looking thick. Lately, people have been seeing his hair looking thick, and people are now questioning whether he's wearing a wig.
Signs of vitality.
To try to look vital and young, that he's trying to make his hair look like he still wants his swoop. And somebody saying they noticed that too. Y'all saying in the chat, right? Brittany says she knows in the chat. Yeah, I think Trump. I don't know if Trump is wearing a wig. So I reached out, of course, Jason, to Coco and Janice, to our glam team, and asked them. They're taking they're on a break this week. We're trying to give them a break this week, but I reached out to them to be like, is he wearing a wig? They were like, I don't know. It definitely looks thickums. It looks a little bit thicker. I don't know. I think it might be a wig.
He probably put more mousse in there.
I actually even texted Mary Trump to ask her. I'm waiting for her to get back to me. I'm going to let y'all know what she says. I texted her. I was like, we did a live today, by the way. If you missed our live. Yes, with me and Mary Trump. We did a live today. It was a lot of fun over on Substack. You can check it out at joyanreid.com. It was really fun. Mary Trump is one of the fun people to talk to. I absolutely love talking to her. We did a live today. I texted her back after the live was over to say, your uncle wearing a wig? What's going on with that hair? I haven't heard back. It's thickums. I think it might have. It's a little fluffery. There's a little fluffery going on up there. I think he might be wearing a wig.
Well, wifey,
somebody said he needs a new brain.
Yes,
yeah,
wifey, we are traveling this weekend, so
yes,
I need to go pack. So.
Okay, yes, we're traveling this weekend, so time to go pack. Thank you all for tuning in to the Joy Reid Show. We will see you all on Monday. We'll see you guys soon. Monday we're gonna be doing. You'll be watching a preview of the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, which is gonna be fun, and you're gonna get all the tea on that doctor from Teray. That's happening on Monday. Have a great weekend. See you all. Be well. One more announcement for the church. I will be on I'm going to be recording an interview for Jack Cocciarella's Sunday show. So we'll be recording that tomorrow. So please stay tuned and make sure you follow Jack, and I'll be on his show on Sunday. But until then, see you all. Be good to someone. Have a great weekend. Where in the world is Carmen Gallego? Yes, this t-shirt is in the shop. See you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Getting back to the basics, grassroots level. Let me dig a little deeper with the shovel. Plenty can't tell the forest from the trees, and I'm hard to detect, like a black hole in the dark. Injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. Let me make this clear, I got a bone to pick, and I'll never fear the threat of poverty. They don't want to talk about it, they rather party, so I'm a real talk about it, for sure.